Welcome. My name is Lori Robinson, and I am the VP of Product here at SailPoint.
And I'm Kelly Grizzle. I'm a distinguished engineer here at SailPoint.
Imagine this. A single compromised identity, just one, opens the door to your company's entire network. Within minutes, sensitive data is exposed, operations are disrupted, and millions of dollars are at stake. This might sound a little bit dramatic, but it's not. It's our reality. In 2024 alone, 90% of organizations suffered an identity-related security incident. Breakout time, the time it takes for an intruder to begin moving laterally across your network, fell to an average of just 48 minutes. This is an all-time low. And AI-powered cyber threats, they're evolving faster than most companies can defend against them. With 74% of security professionals reporting that they've experienced significant impact. But perhaps the scariest threat, the human factor. Nearly 70% of breaches still involve simple mistakes, phishing clicks, weak passwords, and overprivileged identities.
That's right, Lori. Our customers are sounding the alarm. They're feeling the pressure. An explosion of cyber threats is testing the limits of their security strategies. Sophisticated attacks, insider threats, third-party vulnerabilities, and the rapid expansion of machine identities, each a growing risk to organizations worldwide. And then there's the challenge of visibility. Without a global, comprehensive view of their identity landscape, who has access, where data flows, and what's at stake, leaders are left making decisions in the dark. Our customers tell us it's a balancing act. How do you enforce robust security without grinding operations to a halt? Too much friction and productivity plummets. Too little and vulnerabilities widen. Add to this a growing maze of machine accounts and AI agents, growing data sources, applications, and storage locations, each one a potential entry point for attackers.
That's right, Kelly. This is the cybersecurity landscape today, a battlefield where the right risk mitigation strategy isn't just a safeguard, it's a necessity. So how do we stay ahead? Let's talk about the crucial role of identity security in a risk mitigation program that keeps your organization secure and protected. Now, all of this has sounded a bit gloomy. That said, it's all reality. But we have some really encouraging news for you. We're seeing real, measurable progress. Recent data from SailPoint's customer survey on identity and access management tells us a powerful story. Organizations that invest in strengthening their identity security are significantly reducing their risk exposure. The numbers speak for themselves. Companies that have reached mature identity security stages, those in Horizon 3 and 4, are seeing more than a 10% reduction in identity-related security issues, and in some cases, that number reaches up to 30%. This means that organizations that take identity security seriously are reaping the benefits. The trend is clear. As companies move through identity security horizons, they achieve larger reductions in risk in a disproportionate way. Those investing in IAM solutions and maturing their identity security posture are successfully shrinking their attack surfaces and minimizing the impact of potential incidents. While it may not come as a surprise that security investments yield positive results, what's truly remarkable is the scale of the improvement. Horizon 3 and Horizon 4 organizations are leading the charge, demonstrating that with the right tools and strategies, cybersecurity threats can be significantly mitigated. So if you're on this journey, take heart. Your efforts are making a difference. And if you're just beginning, know that progress is within reach. Every step towards stronger identity security is a step toward a safer, more resilient organization. This is the kind of cybersecurity news we all love to hear. Measurable, impactful, and proof that our investments in security are truly paying off. So now let's get into some practical strategies. Let's talk about some key success factors to advancing your risk mitigation program with identity security. The modern enterprise operates in a complex digital ecosystem where identities extend far beyond our traditional workforce. Organizations today rely on third-party vendors, contractors, partners, and an ever-growing network of machine identities, bots, and AI agents. Each of these identities represents a potential attack vector if they are not properly managed and monitored. A siloed approach to identity visibility, where different tools track separate identity types, creates significant security gaps. Cybercriminals often exploit these gaps, using compromised machine accounts, third-party credentials, or over-provisioned employee access to infiltrate networks. To mitigate risk effectively, organizations must adopt a unified, holistic approach to identity visibility. So what does holistic visibility provide to the organization that is so invaluable? Two big benefits come to mind. First, it enables the organization to detect anomalous behavior across all access points. By monitoring employee, third-party, and machine identities collectively, security teams can identify suspicious activity that might have otherwise gone unnoticed in fragmented security systems. And second, many cybersecurity regulations mandate strict identity access controls. Holistic visibility provides the necessary insights to demonstrate compliance and generate accurate audit reports.
We couldn't talk about success factors and risk mitigation today without talking about automation and artificial intelligence. We're at a point in time where a manual approach to identity lifecycle management does not cut it. The complexity of your organizations has surpassed the ability for humans to keep up. It's the era of automation and leveraging AI to streamline identity security so it works for your unique challenges. By automating the identity lifecycle, onboarding, provisioning, access changes, deprovisioning, organizations can enforce consistent policies, eliminate human error, and reduce the attack surface. Automation ensures that employees and third-party users have just the right access. Nothing more, nothing less, exactly when they need it. This means stronger security, better internal compliance, and a more agile workforce. And let's not forget efficiency. Manual identity management can drain IT resources, leading to slow access provisioning and increased frustration among employees. A well-orchestrated identity security program streamlines operations, allowing IT and security teams to focus on what they really care about, strategic initiatives, rather than getting bogged down by user access requests and privilege audits. Ultimately, identity security is the foundation of enterprise cybersecurity in the digital age. Organizations that embrace automation and identity governance don't just enhance security, they drive operational excellence and build resilience against evolving cyber threats. The question isn't if enterprises should automate identity security processes, but how quickly they can implement the right solution to stay ahead.
So Kelly, imagine handing out a set of keys to a plumber inside of your house who just needs access to the kitchen sink, but you give him the keys to the whole house. It sounds excessive, right? Well, in the cybersecurity world, granting excessive access is a common yet dangerous misstep. We know that over-provisioned users create unnecessary risk. Every additional privilege is another potential attack vector. If a hacker gains control of an account with extensive access, they can wreak havoc, stealing sensitive data, modifying critical systems, or even deploying ransomware. By limiting access, we minimize the potential damage that compromised accounts can cause. To enforce least privilege effectively, organizations need to employ role-based access control, strong policy logic, and continuous monitoring. Instead of granting broad access, permission should be assigned based on roles, ensuring that users only get what's essential for their responsibilities. And here's the key: access should be dynamic. It should be granted when necessary and revoked when it's no longer required. Stagnant permissions create security gaps, and those gaps are exactly what attackers are looking for. A successful implementation of least privilege also means reviewing access regularly. It's not a one-and-done task. It's an ongoing process. Conducting access audits, implementing just-in-time access, and leveraging automation can help organizations maintain a tight grip on privilege management. So what's the takeaway here? The principle of least privilege isn't just an IT best practice. It's a necessity for effective risk mitigation. By ensuring users only have access to what they need when they need it, organizations can reduce their attack surface and strengthen their overall security posture.
So what about the identities that operate behind the scenes, Lori? The ones that keep our businesses running 24/7 without a human in sight. I'm talking about machine accounts, service accounts, bots, and robotic process automations. They too require rigorous management, oversight, and security. Organizations rely heavily on these machines to power automation, execute workflows, and integrate systems. Yet many struggle to effectively locate, classify, and manage them. Untracked or misconfigured machine accounts can become security blind spots, leading to compliance gaps, operational inefficiencies, and in worst-case scenarios, a security breach. So why is continuous discovery and classification of a machine account so essential? Well, first, let's talk security. Machine accounts are often privileged, meaning that they have elevated access to critical systems and data. Without proper visibility, attackers can exploit orphaned or misconfigured accounts to move laterally across networks, exfiltrate sensitive information, or even deploy malware. If you don't know what accounts exist, how can you protect them?
That's correct, Kelly. If we look at this from a compliance perspective, many regulations require organizations to account for all identities, human and machine alike. Auditors don't care if an exposed account belongs to a person or an automated process. A security breach is a security breach. Without proper classification and tracking, compliance violations become almost inevitable. And also, efficiency. Manual processes for managing machine identities are slow, error-prone, and resource-intensive. Automating discovery and classification not only strengthens security, but also optimizes identity lifecycle management. This means reducing operational overhead, improving provisioning accuracy, and ensuring proper decommissioning of unused accounts. So what's the solution? Organizations need a robust automated approach to machine identity management, one that continuously discovers, classifies, and assigns ownership with ease. By ensuring no machine identity is overlooked or left unmanaged, businesses can optimize security, achieve regulatory compliance, and operate with greater efficiency. If you're not actively managing your machine identities, you're leaving a critical gap in your risk mitigation strategy. It's time to bring machine accounts out of the shadows and into the light of effective identity security.
Let's take a moment to talk about data, one of my favorite parts. One of the biggest challenges organizations struggle with today is managing the risk associated with unstructured data. Unlike structured data, which is data that's neatly stored in databases, unstructured data exists in emails, shared drives, collaboration platforms, and cloud storage, often without clear oversight. It's data that's constantly moving, being copied and shared. If your organization lacks a comprehensive way to track, classify, and protect it, you're flying blind in an increasingly volatile cybersecurity landscape. That's where a strategic approach to data discovery and classification comes in. Identifying and cataloging unstructured data requires a combination of advanced content analysis, predefined rules, patterns, and custom policies. The goal is to uncover where your critical data resides, who has access to it, and how it's being used. By implementing automated tools and AI-driven solutions, businesses can gain deeper visibility into their data ecosystem and proactively mitigate risks before they escalate. But here's the key takeaway. When you know where your sensitive data is and how it's being used across your organization, you can enforce stronger security measures, prevent unauthorized access, and respond swiftly to potential threats. It's about building a culture of data awareness that ensures that security is not an afterthought, but a fundamental part of your organization's operational DNA.
We couldn't end our talk about risk mitigation without talking about monitoring and auditability. The ability to adapt quickly as suspicious activities happen is everything. Continuous monitoring allows security teams to detect anomalies in user behavior and enables identity teams to remove access related to suspicious activities by keeping a pulse on who's accessing what, when, and from where. Organizations also need auditability, the ability to accurately establish here's who did what, here's when they did it, and here's whether they were supposed to. It gives you the data you need for forensic analysis, compliance, and internal accountability. And when combined with automation and analytics, it can even help flag unusual or risky behavior in real time before it turns into a full-blown breach. So let's quickly summarize by giving you some actionable steps to take back to your teams.
First, you want to break down identity silos by implementing a unified solution to visualize, manage, and monitor all identities, employees, third parties, and machines, enabling better anomaly detection and internal compliance reporting. Automate provisioning and deprovisioning and other critical identity management processes to enforce consistent policies and reduce security gaps. Enforce least privilege by granting users only the access they need and reviewing those permissions regularly.
Thanks, Kelly. Customers should also use automated tools for continuous discovery and classification to manage service accounts, bots, and RPAs effectively, strengthening your machine identity security posture. Leverage automation and other tools to locate and secure sensitive data in emails, shared drives, and cloud systems. Establish systems for real-time monitoring and auditability and identity and access activities to catch suspicious behavior early.
Before we sit down with our customer, Asa Perry, Senior Manager, Identity and Access Management at CareSource, let's quickly summarize the benefits of adopting an effective identity security strategy for risk mitigation. First, identity security helps you build a more resilient, expandable organization with strong defense against cyber threats. You can create a more secure environment that facilitates your digital transformation projects. You build trust with customers and partners by demonstrating a robust security posture. And you lower expenses related to security incidents and compliance violations, and avoid fines and penalties by assisting with industry and government regulation compliance.
Great, Kelly. Those are all great benefits. But now let's hear from our customer to get a better sense on how this is done in practice.
Awesome. Thank you, Lori and Kelly. What a great session. My name is James Honey, Director of Product Marketing here at SailPoint, and joining me today is Asa Perry, Senior Manager of Identity and Access Management with CareSource. Asa, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, James. Excited to be here and to talk with you.
Great. Well, let's kind of get into the conversation that Lori and Kelly set up for us around strategic risk mitigation through identity security and how CareSource has gone through their identity security journey. So what specific challenges did your organization face prior to implementing SailPoint?
You know, three things come to mind regarding the challenges that we were facing prior to implementing SailPoint. So first one, fragmented identity management. So we oftentimes were struggling with disparate systems for managing identities, which then led to inconsistencies and access controls and increased risk. You know, the other thing would be the compliance challenges that we faced. So lack of visibility into who had access to what, you know, leading to potential non-compliance issues with policies, which, you know, obviously is not ideal, especially in a regulated organization like CareSource for sensitive healthcare information. And the final item that comes to mind is the manual processes. So, you know, from a business perspective, our identity governance processes were largely manual, which not only consumed valuable time, but also introduced the aspect of human error. So yeah, I would say those are the three big things that we were facing prior to implementing SailPoint.
So, and that's really interesting to learn. So how's that implementation of SailPoint really help you guys improve your the visibility and the control that you've talked about around over your identities and access within your organization?
Yeah, so obviously it's centralized our identity governance. SailPoint does provide that single platform for us to manage all identities, which then enhances the visibility across the organization, which is great. Also, I mentioned the manual pieces, right? So it's a lot of it was around our access reviews. So it's allowed us to automate those access reviews. It's with automated access reviews, it's definitely improved our ability. We're able to enforce policies and ensure that only authorized users have access to the sensitive data. So it really benefited us from the perspective of getting a better handle on things from an automation perspective. And then I think the last thing that comes to mind is the reporting piece of it. So with disparate systems out there, we're able to now have more of a comprehensive reporting feature or function that comes out of SailPoint. It's helped us understand, some access patterns and possibly where we can, address compliance statuses a little bit more clearly.
Awesome. So what kind of quantitative, can you quantify any measurement improvements that you saw?
Sure. So, definitely had an improvement in our compliance audit results. So the findings that we were getting improved significantly. So meaning there was a reduction in the number of non-compliance issues reported. And I think that really was driven from, the manual pieces being removed and using SailPoint to automate a lot of things and look at reporting to understand where there were issues potentially before it became a compliance or an audit issue. Um, you know, However, with that said, now that we can do more with SailPoint, that means that our auditors want more from us. So, they keep pulling back the next layer of the onion, if you will. But the tool does help us deliver on those additional requirements. And it really is kind of, I think, shed light on the fact that having a tool there does really add value and benefit because, I guess it's a cost savings because then we reduce the number of manual processes. So, I think we've achieved significant savings from the perspective of freeing up that human time, which then allows folks to work on more fruitful initiatives.
And I think you're already kind of touching on it, which kind of leads into that impact around operational efficiency and resource allocation. Because to your point, the compliance, security, those things, if you do it right, they kind of go in hand. So how would you articulate, that impact that you've seen a little bit more?
Yeah, it still goes back to, the streamlining of processes. I think the bigger one too is reducing time for access requests. So the time that it was taking to fulfill access requests has decreased, improving overall productivity. So, we've automated most of those access requests and connected to those different sources. And I guess going back to improving overall productivity, it's a better resource allocation. So, now we can allocate our resources more effectively by focusing on those high risk areas that maybe do require more attention rather than spending, the team's time and running them thin across manual tasks that oftentimes can be seen as more operational, right? So I think it also has freed up a lot of our other IT business partner resources, like IT service desk or some of the application teams, allowing them to then focus on more strategic initiatives rather than repetitive tasks that they manually may have been doing with some of the disparate things that were going on without SailPoint as a tool.
So part of your solution, obviously, in your environment, you have third-party partners that require access into your world. So how's the SailPoint solution really help facilitate that better collaboration and trust with your third-party partners regarding access?
Yeah, so some of the things I've heard definitely the third-party partners do have a better understanding, what are our clear access requirements and policies. Also, they like the automated access management pieces of it. And then from my team's benefit, or even back to our audit conversation, we can then do regular audits on those access items of third-party partners. So we've been able to really define and enforce the clear access policies for third-party partners, which gives a better, I guess, trust out there within the organization of what our security practices are when it comes to granting that access to third parties. And then automating the provisioning and deprovisioning for the third parties. So, the business owner of whoever is associated to that third party doesn't have to remember to do something, or, the third party doesn't have to remember to do something. We really minimize that risk associated with some human error that's there. And then, like I said, the regular access audit reviews, we're able to do those for our business partners, kick off those certifications, and they don't have to be, accountable to do that. We can handle that for them.
Nice. So kind of want to end it with, just a question around your focus. What made your team really prioritize this identity security journey that you're on?
Yeah, so I would say it's the increase in cyber threats. That's definitely been a huge focus of our entire information security department, and particularly any identity related attacks that could potentially happen. So, that increase that's out there in those threats made it clear that we needed to prioritize identity security to protect our assets. Just the rising threat landscape definitely paved the way for us to then prioritize identity security as an area of focus. The other thing, a lot of organizations also go through business growth, right? So as our organization grows, and it did grow, so did the complexity of managing those identities. So we needed to have a robust identity security strategy, and having a tool like SailPoint allows us to do that. So we can move quickly and be agile and nimble as the business grows. We can adjust and grow right along with it. And just even then stakeholder concerns. So folks who have a stake in the overall cybersecurity posture of the organization, they highlighted the need for better identity management practices. It builds trust from, everyone within the organization, our members, our customers, and then also ensures the safety of any of the sensitive data that we do have.
Awesome. Well, Asa, thank you so much for joining us on Identity TV this year. Really, really appreciate it.